You're listening to Range Minded from Independence Indoor Shooting. If you haven't yet, make sure you're following us on social media at Range Minded Podcast on both Facebook and Instagram. This is episode 139, our last episode of 2020, where we talk about our predictions for what's to come in 2021 and what our firearms-related New Year's resolutions are. Thanks for listening, and as always, we hope you enjoy episode 139 of Range Minded, the last episode of 2020. Hello and welcome to Range Minded from Independence Indoor Shooting. My name is Mark Long, and I'm joined as always by...
What's happening? It's Steve in the Eastern Front.
That's right, and also we are joined by...
Nick Hoffer, and I'm going to come up with some sort of a good intro for myself. You and Steve both got a good one.
Well, I don't have much of an intro at all. I just do the intro.
Oh, well.
He is the intro.
Yeah, you are the intro. Steve is the one and only.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
That's true. There's nobody like Steve.
Thank goodness.
Well, this will be the last episode of 2020 as well.
Can you believe that?
Oh, thank God.
What a hell of a year.
It has been a fun year.
Well, that's one way of putting it.
I'm just hoping next year is so much better.
Well, Steve, you don't want to hear my prediction for next year if that's the way you want to feel.
I don't think anybody wants to hear Steve's either, because it's not going to be, what did I say earlier? It's going to be happy and joyful and full of good predictions.
You might be surprised.
Well, yeah. So we're going to talk about, since it's the end of 2020 and will be the beginning of 2021 very shortly. I thought it would be good to talk about our predictions for 2021 and some New Year's resolutions, as we've done in years past as well. So
this is the third one, right? This is the third.
Yeah.
Wow. I can't believe we're still going.
Yeah, this is we've done a few of these now. So, but it has been a weird year in firearms, to say the least. I think that there is some positivity to be found, but we'll see. So might as well just jump right into it. Steve, what's your biggest? What's maybe your first prediction for 2021?
My very first prediction is we saw record gun sales in 2020. Like, would we say 20 million background checks?
Yeah.
Who knows how many firearms are actually sold within those background checks? I think next year is going to be bigger.
You think so?
I do.
That plays into my predictions.
Okay.
So I'm just going to call it 2020 2.0.
Really?
Hopefully it's 2020 light.
No. I think we're gearing up for 2020 2.0. I think that not only will firearm sales continue to increase, but with the talk of more lockdowns and the talk of still having to do precautions even after a vaccine for coronavirus, I think that we're going to see people try to implement the same things as 2020 and try to continue things on while people start to rebel against that. And it's going to be not on the downslope. It's going to be on the uptick.
I can see that.
It's just going to keep going.
Yeah, I think that we have another 18 months of just this progressing, not getting any better.
Oof,
I hope not, but I
mean, it's a scary. I hate to say that, but from what I've heard and what I can see going on, like, I don't see it getting better in the next year.
Sure.
Yeah, maybe not.
Well, we'll see.
Eventually, we'll go back to normal. I mean, we're not going to do this forever.
No. But I think you're right. I think that with all of, I think just general uncertainty, even if things are better overall, like, for example, there is a second strain or a different strain that they've just found in England the other day. So
they call that COVID-20?
Maybe, actually. But they...
no, you got to go with like how they do progress. 19.1.
It's like the iPhone update.
19.1.2.3, yeah. That could fuel into people's, uncertainties and fears, and that there may be, more issues, in front of us, like Nick said. And so I think maybe, having means to defend yourself are going to be more and more important, or just as important, if not more important, next year.
Yeah, and you know what scares me about all this, and I hope, like, as far as we're saying, maybe not the gun sales, but things getting more frustrating. I hope that doesn't happen, but I think it's likely, honestly. But what scares me is it's going to get to the point where people are pushed where they feel like they have to do stupid, drastic things. And that's what I'm worried about, really.
Like they're backed into a corner?
Yeah. And I mean, you've seen restaurant owners and stuff. There's a video of a restaurant owner in California that kind of goes nuts because he can't do anything else. He's tried to go through all the channels and everything, and his restaurant still gets shut down. And, he's worried about his employees. He said he didn't care about his salary. He's just worried about all of his employees.
Right.
Was that the guy that blocked in the health inspector?
Yeah, you saw that video?
Oh, jeez. So awesome.
Yeah.
If he's not going to let me work, he's not going to work.
Yeah.
And the cop's like, no, sir. Yeah. He's like, I'll move it when your supervisor gets here.
Oh, geez.
He was being calm about it.
Yeah, he was not belligerent at all. Like, he was pretty level-headed. I mean, he was fired up, but he wasn't being crazy about it. But
I mean, that was a peaceful protest if I've ever seen one.
Yeah. I'm worried that people, I mean, we've already heard the Civil War rumors going around. Like, that's what I'm worried about. Somebody thinks like, well, they're not going to take care of it. I will. And they're going to do something stupid and it's going to make a mess. That really wasn't in my predictions, but that's what I'm worried about. I hope it doesn't happen, but I fear for that.
Yeah. I mean, it's possible. I mean, nobody could have predicted this year, and all it takes is, one person who's fired up enough, hopefully that doesn't happen, but you never know.
Yeah.
And if this year's taught me anything, it's that whatever you think is impossible, it could happen.
If you feel like you're that person, like you're going to do something stupid and crazy, don't do it.
Yeah. Take a breath and think about it.
You're not going to solve anything. You're not going to go up against the state police or whatever. It's not going to work out well for you. You're not going to prove a point. You're going to actually create bigger problems for the rest of us. Just calm down.
Yeah, you're going to make I would say not being a good steward of the Second Amendment. How about that?
I agree. There may be a time and a place for other things. Like we can contact our legislators and we can fight the avenues that way. And we need to extinguish everything else before we think about the alternative.
Well, and that goes into one of my predictions, actually, because we just saw kind of making public comments and, letting your voice be heard actually work in action with the ATF pistol brace thing.
Yeah, baby.
So it just goes to show that a lot of people think that, it's not going to work or whatever, or, it's going to fall on deaf ears or whatever kind of even conspiracy theory stuff you want to talk about. I mean, I'd say that, the ATF opened up commentary about pistol braces and whatnot, and, thousands and thousands of people made their voices heard, and that actually worked, and they rescinded their whole, proposed mess about pistol braces.
Sure. I mean, they did get a lot of comment, but I'm not sure if that's really what swayed them, because they got a letter from the Senate that told them you need to stop, cease and desist, and I think that's really what made them change their tactic. And I'm sure that the comments helped, because there was thousands and thousands and thousands of people that contacted them.
Well, in addition to the comments, though, I mean, how many people did contact their senators or their congresspeople or whatever? And
apparently enough.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think it probably, at the very least was a combination of both.
We know the Senate didn't just draft that letter blindly.
Well, I'm sure there's probably a handful of senators that did. Like, they probably ramrodded it, because there are some very, very pro-gun senators, not from our state, unfortunately, but there are some out there.
See, and that's something that scares me as well. The fact that everybody blindly thinks that Idaho is such a red state and doesn't recognize the fact that we still need to do our job here with local government, because we are losing our red status.
Yep. In a hurry.
Yeah, things are changing, and you need to stay vigilant about, your gun rights, for sure, because you never know. I mean, it's as people move to different places, obviously the way that the political climate in that area is going to change, even though it's maybe been the same for, however many years. But it's, it's not just happening here. It's happening in all kinds of different red states,
it's happening all over the country.
Yeah, exactly. And so you have to, and a lot of these people come from big cities or places where gun rights are viewed at in a different light. And you've got to make sure that people understand that, it's maybe not how we do things here.
Well, and I think you can take it from a different perspective. So let's take the gun rights, because obviously we're about guns here, right? But look at it from a different way. And I had a discussion about this on Christmas with my dad, and it was about, we're one of the last strongholds that have not given in to legalizing marijuana. And that makes us a target, because the people, the liberals and Democrats and even the Republicans who want legalized marijuana, in order to get that through in our state, they have to change the state government. The people in charge who are fighting that, which are also those people that are fighting for the Second Amendment rights here. Right. So it's not that we're just under attack for taking away gun rights. It's that they want legalized marijuana in every state, and they want it to be federal. And in order to do that, they believe that if they can get some sort of legalization in all 50 states, that it will just follow. Well, in order to do that here, we have to get rid of our Republican government structure and let in more liberal Democrats.
Yeah, or liberal Republicans.
Or liberal Republicans, absolutely.
Because it really does feel like there's a lot more Republicans that are just kind of,
I don't know.
They just want to get elected. But this isn't a political podcast by any means,
or a podcast.
But that's just something for everybody that's listening to kind of think about. Is like they might not be coming after your Second Amendment, but they have another agenda as well, and that's to legalize marijuana in all 50 states. And the thing that comes with legalized drugs is taking away your guns.
Well, it's still federal law. You can't be a user of marijuana or any other drugs and still be a gun owner at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's why it's on the 4473.
To fill out your 4473, and that question that asks, I think it actually specifically mentions marijuana, doesn't it?
Yeah, and the new one actually says there's a clarifying thing about whether or not it's legal in your state. If you're still a user of marijuana, it's still a federal offense, I believe.
Yep.
And so that right there, I had this conversation a year or so ago with someone in Arizona, because it's been legal there for a while. And right there, when a person says, no, I'm not a user of marijuana, but for a fact that they are, like that right there makes them purchase a gun and a criminal. Yeah. So how easy is that going to make it when the Democrats come in and say, well, guess what? You have a marijuana card, or you're on the registry at this dispensary, you're done buying guns.
Yeah.
Yep.
And what are you going to choose? If you're a pot smoker, you're going to choose pot over owning a gun.
Well, that's for my glaucoma, though.
Well, then maybe you can be exempt.
I have never used any illegal drugs, so.
See, and my Glock has never been in a coma, so it's always coherent.
Is it? Once in a while, my striker spring goes a little off, so.
See what you did there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's true. That's something that maybe I never thought of, and maybe that's going to, maybe that'll come up in 2021 in Idaho. Who knows,
Yeah, I think it's really important that all of us, we not just stand for what we believe in the strongest, but make sure that, some of the things that other people are standing against, like legalizing marijuana in the state, there's a good reason that we should all stand together.
Yeah.
Well, nothing exists in a vacuum. You know what I mean? There's multiple parts of different things that happen. You know what I mean? One thing affects the other.
Yeah, there's always strings attached too. So, and it just gets crazy.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but on a more positive note, though, I think even though there are so many gun owners and everything, I think we're going to start seeing more ammo regularly available in 2021, because how many ammo companies have come out and said that they want, or that they've been retooling and building new facilities and really amping up for the demand,
Did either of you guys see the CEO of Vista and the YouTube video that he put out?
I didn't watch the video. No. I saw that he posted one.
Yeah, I saw the video, and he just basically talked about how, they haven't decreased any of their production. They are not allocating ammunition to the government or military. It's that when you get 9 million new gun owners, even if each of them only bought 2 boxes of ammo, that's 18 million more boxes of ammo that they didn't sell last year, on top of going through a pandemic and having an election year and all of that, and having to down their employee size because of COVID and regulation.
Right.
Yeah, that was on my list too. Like, I think it's not going to we're not going to see any light until maybe the middle of the year.
Yeah, it's not going to happen tomorrow, that's for sure.
But I think it will get better.
Yeah, I think that we're going to start seeing a lot more, ammunition become more available. Maybe not necessarily, plenty of it, but I think there might be at least enough for everybody or most people to go shooting again,
Yeah, the downside is we'll see more ammo, but I don't think the prices are going to come down much.
No, because of the demand, yeah.
And rightfully so, the prices shouldn't come down for a while. And in fact, it could end up being like gasoline, where prices don't come down for a long time because you've been acclimated to the price increase.
Yep.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
and we don't want to think about it. Like, the gun community is pretty solid, but they still have to recoup their losses through the craziness too. So
yeah, but I think there'll at least be enough. Because still there's you can't find ammo hardly anywhere. You have to follow, on Facebook, like even at the shop, we say, okay, we have, we're going to have this much ammo and we're going to release it, kind of ration it in different waves. You can't just put it all out there or else it'll be gone in 5 minutes. It kind of makes the problem worse in that regard.
Yeah.
So it's just
frustrating, but it is what it is.
Yeah, but I think at least we're going to be able to see more where it's not going to have to be rationed out like that. But I think Nick's right. I think, we're not going to be seeing, the prices that we've been used to, maybe in a couple of years. But I think it's just like you said, with gas prices, that we've been kind of used to having gas prices at a certain level for a while. And then, they went down after a couple of years or whatever. But I think that ammo is going to be not cheap for a while, unfortunately.
No. All of us are old enough to remember when we used to drive across the street because gas was 97 cents, not 98.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I sure remember that.
Now you see gas under $2 and you're like, oh, my goodness.
Yeah. But I remember back in the day when I first started driving, it was, $3 or $4 a gallon. And that was still good, You
started driving when gas was $3 a gallon?
Yeah, just about.
Man, I remember when I remember when I bought my first street bike when I was 18, and premium gas was $1.25, and it cost me like $3.50 to fill up my motorcycle.
Yeah, man.
Well, that'd have been awesome.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah. I think I did that like 2 times before gas was like $6 a gallon.
Yeah. But yeah, you remember it shot up there and it stayed there for a long time. And only I'd say in the last, 5 years has it actually gone back to, kind of a somewhat normal level.
Yeah. Ever since Donald Trump got into office, we've seen reasonable fuel prices. It's weird.
There you go.
Since we became self-sufficient on oil.
Yeah.
So Nick, what other predictions do you have for 2021? Do you have any other ones?
Well, I agree with Steve. I think we're going to see continued increased sales in firearms. Obviously, I think that the training aspect, because of what I see every day at the shop, I think that training is going to continue to just explode. I think that
Agreed.
I think now is the time where when we had all those instructors before and it's kind of tapered off, like we're going to start seeing a lot more handgun instructors pop up throughout the city, I guess the state, and probably all over the country, because there's going to be a big demand for it.
I agree. That was also on my list. Yeah, I believe it'll be a record education year.
Which is not a bad thing.
No, that's a great thing.
I think it's a great thing, but I was happy to see the number of instructors in at least our area start to dwindle because there was a lot of like bad instruction going on.
Sure.
I'm not afraid to say it. I took some classes. There was some bad instruction going on.
Sure. Yeah, and that can be, you can find that anywhere, it's, and,
it happened because there was a demand for instruction, and then there was an overpopulation of people who wanted to be instructors.
Sure.
And as the demand went down, only the people who were serious about it stuck around, and now we're kind of in that reset where people will be able to jump back into it.
Yeah. Well, and you could also make the argument that only the best ones do survive,
Oh, absolutely.
So, yeah, we'll see.
Well, there's a reason why they're good,
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I think we'll see more training.
If I was going to warn anybody looking into training, obviously the academy at the store is probably one of the best places to start, but any place that's offering you to take a class with 25, 30 students and only has one instructor, I wouldn't go there.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. We've talked about that in episodes past where you want to have a lower student to teacher ratio so you can kind of get that one-on-one, time, even if you're with other people, but still having that one-on-one time is still important in a class.
For safety, be it firearms training, any type of real training. So like when I was in the fire department and I've been done some stuff with the police academy here, the rule of thumb is 10-1. So if you have more than 10 students to one instructor, it's really hard to safely know what the 11th person is doing in that group.
Sure.
Yeah.
So if you're 12-1, 15-1, okay, maybe you can get away with it. But if you don't have some sort of an RSO at that point to help just manage the amount of people, it gets scary. I've been on the line at classes where there's 25 people down the line, and you can't hear or you can't see what's going on at the other end of the line.
Sure. Well, and the other thing on top of that is that, you can't really, even if you divide, let's say you divide the classes up into, 2 heats or whatever for the range, you're still not going to get as much time. Sometimes it can't
half the instruction,
but at least it's safer than having 25 people or 24 people on the line at once. So
yeah, absolutely. So I remember it was like 3 or 4 years ago. We had a local store here. They're not open anymore. We would go out to the Nampa Rod and Gun Club, and I would teach RSO enhanced classes with Raul, and this instructor would have 30 people in the pit with just him as the instructor.
That's
and
so many.
It was chaos. And even the students would be asking if they could come over and join our class because we only had 7 people and there was 2 of us.
Yeah.
Like it was total chaos. And the guy was running an advertisement on the radio and it was obviously working. He was teaching 100, 150 people a month, but the people who were taking that class were not getting their $150 worth of instruction.
Wow.
I just like to warn people if you're taking a class and they're taking more than call it 15 students per instructor, you're not going to get the same amount of value you are at a place like at Independence in the Academy where you have an instructor and an RSO and maybe 15 students.
Well, and that's why, you only have so many people in one class. Maybe you realize that, or you've tried to sign up for a class and you realize it fills up pretty fast. Well, that's why, because you have to ensure the safety of everyone involved. And, you also just want to make sure you're giving everybody good instruction and getting their money's worth, if nothing else, Yeah.
And I would look at it this way. If you're trying to sign up for someone's class and it keeps filling up, there must be a reason why it's filling up.
It's a good sign.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
That's a good sign. If you go to sign up for a class and they have to keep canceling it because there's only 2 people signing up, I would start looking around at what other options are in your area.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's people know, like they'll tell their friends if it was a good, enjoyable class and they learned something and had fun and they were safe, they'll tell their friends.
Yeah, word of mouth is a real thing. And if they have a bad experience, they're going to tell their friends too, probably even more so.
Yeah, they're more apt to say something.
Right.
Yeah, well, the gun community is still really big on word of mouth, and it's still that like kind of secret society of like instruction and whatnot. Like it's not, you don't drive down the street most of the time and see a billboard for firearms instruction. I mean, you might now, but like that's not really ever been a thing. You're not going to see Steve's face on the bus stop bench for concealed weapons classes.
Probably get graffitied over.
Or a mustache at least.
But yeah, at least some facial hair. Come on.
Yeah. But no, that's a good point. I mean, yeah, you want those people that are in demand for obvious reasons. They're doing the right thing and they're really popular. So, and that's, one thing, if you're even thinking, I would say if you're even thinking about taking a class in 2021, if you can sign up for it now, you definitely want to take that class now, or at least sign up for it and put the money down now, because
I would say that for 100%. So I know 5 instructors who will open their calendar on January 1st, and within the first 2 weeks, they will have their entire year booked up.
Really?
So that's in normal times. I would say now that things are crazy, they might add a couple classes, because they usually those instructors only do like 2 classes a month.
Right.
And they'll run it out all the way until the fall, and their calendar is booked all the way out.
That's insane. Awesome.
So I would definitely start thinking about it now and put your money down and get on the schedule or the calendar to be in those classes. And even at the store, like get into the academy, get on the website, figure out what classes you want to take, and sign up for 2 or 3 of them. Worst case, if you have to cancel the week before or a couple weeks before, that's okay. Yeah. Just don't cancel the day before, because you're not going to get your money back.
Right, exactly. But there are going to be, people who will, fill it up or whatever. But if you have the means and the time to do it now, I would sign up sooner rather than later by far, because you might not be able to get another chance at all this year,
Well, and that's going to give you time to figure out your ammo situation too. So if you sign up now and you know when you need to have ammo by, then you can start kind of thinking about that too.
Yeah, well, and there's some academies that keep some handgun ammo, because you can't guess everybody's rifle caliber or something, but you can get a pretty good idea what their handgun stuff is, and they'll set aside some boxes for their students just in case. But that's not a guarantee either. Like I would still plan ahead, like Nick was saying, plan ahead.
Yep.
Get stuff figured out. But
there are sometimes too where you go into a class where it's okay, you only need 50 rounds, but maybe or 100 rounds, but maybe you have, a lot more time, in the class, or you get through the curriculum a little bit faster, and you say, oh, you want to shoot more rounds. And if you don't have any more rounds or whatever, you're going to be missing out on some extra education.
And I've done that with classes before where we still had time and they still wanted to shoot.
Yeah. I mean, I remember, I think it was an intermediate or an advanced class where, we had plenty of time, and they were like, well, you want to shoot another, couple hundred rounds? And it was like, we ended up shooting twice as much, I think, is what, we originally needed for the class. And it was great. But, it's, now I'd be a little more hesitant, I think, just because of the price alone,
Yeah.
Well, I would say this, I would rather put my rounds down range while I had access to an instructor than just wildly shooting them on my own at paper.
Yeah.
So that's taking advantage of that opportunity.
Making the most of your time.
And that's the thing too. Like if you sign up for your classes now and get into the class, maybe it doesn't fill up, but you've already prepared for it. And if there's only 5 people in that class, you're going to get an even better experience.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. So,
because if you sign up now and I look at my calendar and say, hey, I got 5 people signed up for the March 12th class, like I've already made plans to be in that class and thinking it's going to fill up. Well, if it only stays with 5 people, I'm still going to do the class because I already cleared my calendar to make sure that I was there. And you're going to get twice as much instruction from me as you would if there was 10 people in it.
Yeah, you're going to get a heck of a class.
Yeah, and that's just forward thinking and wishful thinking, but it's a possibility that it happens.
Yeah.
Well, and for an instructor standpoint, depending on what level of class I'm teaching, I don't want a lot of students. Like if it's where we're moving down range or maybe there's some dynamic stuff, I probably only want 5 to 7 students, and that's it.
Yeah, and from talking to Terry, because I see Terry from Ultimate Hybrid and Idaho Enhanced Academy all the time, he loves doing the private classes with 1 or 2 people.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and he's been doing a bunch of those. I haven't seen him in probably 3 weeks because he's been on the range every day.
Yeah. I see he's posting stuff, and he's always at the range.
Yeah, I was going to say, I've seen him on Facebook a bunch.
He was in my shop the other day crying to me because he had to work 14 days in a row.
It's kind of a choice.
Yeah.
I was like, boo-hoo.
Man, I got to make money for 2 weeks in a row.
It's like there's people out there that don't have jobs at all, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they got $600 a week unemployment.
Whoop, whoop.
Yeah. Well, I think another, to kind of go off that with the classes and the education stuff, I think maybe just the shooting sports in general will become a little bit more mainstream because there are so many more new gun owners now and so many people getting training. Do you think, that the shooting sports of the gun world will become a little bit more mainstream, a little bit more accepted, or no?
Go ahead, Nick. Oh, well, I think that the answer to that is yes and no.
Probably depends on where you are.
I think there's going to be a lot of pushback from the anti-gun side about making it more mainstream and more accepted. There's going to be a lot of resistance, but because we have so many new gun owners, it's going to have to conform or change a little bit. And that was actually another thing on my list is I think there's going to be some awesome gear coming out next year.
Oh yeah.
Out towards, new shooters and more experienced shooters. And I think the prices on some of that gear is going to come down a little bit.
Oh, for sure. With the more competition, the more people doing stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. I think there's going to be some cool stuff available, probably third quarter next year, but I think it'll be some cool stuff out there.
Yeah. I hope so.
Some inside information.
Well, I mean,
I feel some insider trading going on there.
I do know there's going to be some good stuff coming out next year, but that's more on the firearm accessory side. But I think as far as gear,
is that something to do with like optic?
No, actually, no.
Okay. I'm just checking.
There might be some stuff there too, but no, there's going to be some gun parts that are coming out next year. It's going to be pretty sick too.
So for me to answer that question, Mark, I think that I love shooting sports, but I've kind of been out of the loop for the last couple of years on shooting sports. And next year, I'm going to try and get more involved with what's going on in the shooting sports world.
Sure.
And hopefully I'll be able to get a little bit better perspective of what's going on, because I used to be heavily involved in Steel Challenge and USPSA.
Sure.
And I kind of haven't done a whole lot of that lately, but I want to get back into it and see what's going on over there. And because it has felt quiet, and I don't know if that's because I'm so disconnected from the shooters in that world now, or if it has not been as prevalent because of the hard to get ammo.
Sure.
Well, and I think the COVID thing's kind of really slowed down a lot of those competition shootings.
Yeah, for sure.
But I do know that like Seeps over here, they'll still do shoots every week or every other week. But I don't think it's as crazy and fun as it used to be. But hopefully, like you're saying, maybe it has, and we just haven't paid attention to it. But yeah. I think it's going to be my advice to a new shooter: if you can get into competition, it will help you so much.
Yeah, and that's why I brought it up, because I mean, being in competitions stepped my game up so much, and it's something that I really miss. Being able to do, and I think that it's going to appeal to a lot of people who maybe aren't like hardcore, like gun owners or like defense people, but they can use the firearm that they've purchased to get better in a way that's competitive and fun, making it thereby more mainstream.
Yeah,
but who knows? Maybe not.
I think that the three of us should shoot a match next year.
Sure. I need to get back into it because it was a ton of fun.
As long as Mark's shooting the Walther, I'm in.
Yeah.
My problem is the guns that I like to shoot. I'm going to be minor limited, which is pretty pointless in a way to actually shoot competitions. But for me, it's not about the score. It's just about the skill building and the fun.
Yeah, it's about gaining that experience and just the familiarity and confidence with using your firearm. I think is gonna make a lot of people more comfortable, more confident, and with more guns out there, I think people are gonna want to kind of use them more often or have a reason to use them more often. But that would be in the competitive or like we said, the educational kind of arena.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Absolutely.
So I think that probably does it for predictions, unless anybody else has a hot take for anything.
Well, I was going to say also that I think there's already some cool guns coming out that have been kind of leaked, but I think there'll be some new fun guns coming out next year too. Last year, 2020, I guess this year, we didn't really see a lot of cool stuff happening, but hopefully next year, the manufacturers will be caught up with whatever they got stuck with and produce or debut some of this cool stuff.
Yeah, we'll have to see it not SHOT Show 2021.
I just want to hit one thing that I'm really disappointed in.
Sure.
So, as everyone knows, I used to work at Tactical Solutions where we did all the rimfire stuff, right?
Right.
And so my big thing there was the Glock conversion. Obviously, I've talked about that. And the AR-22s.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they no longer make the AR-22s. They completely canceled that line pretty much right after I left there.
Really?
Yeah, 'cause I don't remember seeing them.
Yeah, so they pretty much got rid of all of it, right? Well, right before I left, I had a huge push to get us to do a 22 AR pistol. And we were doing it. We did a couple thousand of them, right? And now I just saw Smith & Wesson release the 1522.
Sure they did.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, man, we were doing that 5 years ago.
Yeah. Well, even like CMMG, they've had a 22 conversion kit for, at least a couple of years. And so it's not that.
Yeah, we had conversion barrel kit, but we were doing complete AR-22
dedicated,
rifles,
platforms.
Dedicated, built on mil-spec parts.
Yeah, which is impressive.
Like, the only thing that wasn't a mil-spec part on those guns was our proprietary barrel and bolt carrier, and then the magazines that we designed. So everything on that was you could literally pick it up. It weighed a little less because the barrel was aluminum.
Yeah,
we had the aluminum barrel with the chromoly liner, but we also had what we called the M4 version that had a steel barrel. So it had very close to the weight of an unloaded gun.
Wow.
And
that's cool.
Those are still my favorite rifles to take out shooting.
Oh yeah.
Because you can set it up. I mean you can set those guns up identical to your 5.56 rifle and shoot the entire day for a third the price. But it's just funny to me like how it's that point in time where all of a sudden now the 22 caliber AR pistol is a thing when I was making those for years and could not get them off the ground.
Well, and I mean, I have to admit, I haven't really thought about it or looked at it, but is 22 just as hard to find as all the other ammo right now, or not really?
I think at this point it is.
Yeah, because I remember
everything is now. It wasn't at first, but it is now.
Yeah, because I was going to say, if not, then everybody should probably be starting to shoot 22, but it sounds like I'm a little behind the curve on that one.
Well, it's just like 40. Like, you could walk in any gun shop and find a ton of 40 in stock.
Right.
Well, now people are sucking that up now, too, so.
Yeah, well, it's as other things, go missing, that those voids will be filled by buying other stuff,
Yep.
Absolutely. So, that's just my rant, my new product that I was looking at this last week and was kind of disappointed.
Yeah, that's a bummer, man. Because it's been on my list for a while to make a 22 caliber AR style rifle for practice, just to make it that much cheaper and more affordable to shoot and enjoy. But yeah,
it's also a great starter rifle. So that was the first rifle I built my son, and it's really great because the adjustability and the length of pull, and I mean, ARs are already super easy to shoot. We all know that.
Right.
But then you put it into a 22 caliber and there's no recoil. The length of pull is whatever you want it to be. I mean, it was a great rifle for him to learn the fundamentals of shooting on.
Well,
Right.
and we'd always get people, asking, hey, I'm going to buy my, young child a 22 rifle, and they'll always look at the Cricket or, one of those. Yeah. And actually the Smith & Wesson M&P 22 had a shorter length of pull with the stock completely collapsed than any of the other children's rifles out there.
Absolutely. And then you go from, like I said, those are pretty much mil-spec rifle parts that are on that. I mean, the M&P 22 has plastic parts opposed to all aluminum, but the dimensions are the same as
the feel is basically the same. The manual of arms is the same.
So then when you take my son, for example, when I took him from the 22 to the AR-15, it was just transitioning to a different caliber, same gun.
Yeah.
So the safety, all of that he knew all of it by the time we got up to shooting the larger caliber. So it's a great educational tool.
Yeah, I mean, because in addition to that, your fundamentals are all the same no matter what caliber you're shooting. So really, at that point, you're just worrying about recoil management or whatever. But even then, it's not that much different because at that point, especially with young kids, that flinch is going to be gone. They're going to be used to the sound and the feel of it. And I mean, really, from a 22 to a 5.56, it's not that much bigger of a jump.
No.
So, yeah. Well, let's move on to resolutions then. We've kind of done our predictions a little bit. What are some resolutions that you guys have for next year to step up your shooting game?
Well, for me, it's the same one it's been for the last 2 years. I'm going to continue to educate myself, and I really need to put on there reading some more books.
Sure.
There are some great self-defense oriented books that help your mental side of your self-defense, not just the physical side of it. So Adam Boyce has given me a couple of ideas, and I need to jump on those. Yeah.
I can't remember if it was this year or last year. I read a book or two by Masad Ayub, who's a fantastic concealed carry person and instructor and all that stuff. And he's got a couple of interesting books to read as well. So I think it's I'm trying to remember the one I read. I think it was the Gun Digest Book of Concealed Carry, maybe.
That's on my list. Yep.
Yeah, and even just reading really does help you get into the mindset of concealed carry and self-defense and home defense or whatever. It makes you really think about situations or maybe parts of that realm that maybe you hadn't thought about in the past, Yeah,
and another one that I want to read is called Left of Bang. I can't remember who the author is, but I've heard really good things about that book. And there are so many others out there, but I need to start with one and finish it and go to the next. Just make it small goals.
Yeah, just one steps at a time. So I think that's a great one, especially, with not being able to shoot as much or, get out to a range or whatever. I think, at least furthering your education through reading and keeping your mind sharp is definitely a good thing. So.
Yeah, that's the first thing on my list.
Nick, what do you got?
I've got two, actually pretty big ones for me. So I've been putting this stuff off for a while. The first one is I'm going to get certified to be a firearms instructor.
Okay, awesome.
So I've been working on it off and on for the last 5 years, but I've never actually gotten NRA or USCCA certified. So I think this year I'm going to do I know I'm going to do the USCCA certification.
Yeah.
Get licensed. And then another thing that I've been putting off that I've wanted to do for a few years is I want to do some knife training.
Oh, we know somebody who can help you with that.
And so it's funny because we talked about this last week, and then in the middle of this week, Steve's buddy Adam reached out to me on Instagram.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's kind of a sign that I need to follow through and actually do some of that.
Sure. Yeah. No, Adam's a great guy.
So I've got a meeting with Adam tomorrow, actually, because we have some fun things hopefully coming up in 2021, the first quarter. So we'll set up. I'll tell him we need to set up a class up over there because you will have a lot of fun.
Oh yeah.
And like I said this before too to you, Steve. Like, let me know like when we want to do a class, and I'll make sure that there's enough students to make it worth him coming down here.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing, and yeah, I'll just say I'll talk to him tomorrow. We'll get one set up.
Yeah, and we'll have to have him on the podcast again. Maybe we can do. Maybe we can all do a class together, and then all four of us can get together and do another episode because he's been on quite a few times and he's got a lot of knowledge. Great guy to know for sure.
Yeah, I've been spending every Monday night with him for the last few weeks.
Really?
It's been a ton of fun.
I bet.
How's your wife feel about that?
Well, it's in the class form, so it's not like we're going bowling and into the bar afterwards or anything. But no, it's
Isn't that how you learn knife fighting? You go to the bar and get into a fight?
Actually, just bowling alleys.
I got to be a little bit more experienced before I start picking fights.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, Adam would be a great, basically the only person I know to teach knife fighting. So,
well, there's actually a few that I've met through Adam that I was kind of surprised how many in the area they actually are.
Really?
But yeah, but they're all in the same community. They're all tight knit. They know each other, kind of like the gun culture. So,
oh sure,
yeah, we'll set up a class and maybe we can even do something with some of the listeners if they're interested. So
yeah, he's a friend with my buddy Ryan, who's a big time knife fighter too. So I know that Ryan would be a part of that class. So
awesome.
That'd be great. Yeah, maybe we can. Yeah, that'd be a great 2021. Make something happen like that for sure. So, maybe we can help you out with that one, Nick. That would be great.
Perfect. So I can knock that one off my list, and now I just got to do the $2,000 instructor class.
Yeah. And that's the other thing on my list is I've got to finish it. I've started re-upping my curriculum or credentials, and I need to get those finished so I can feel good about what I'm teaching.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's the thing I have too is I need to get those things done as far as the instructor side because I'm constantly giving advice, and sometimes I'm like, I should probably put something behind that, even if it's just for my own feel good.
Right.
Just having the piece of paper, the certification to say, yeah, I do know what I'm talking about.
And I know I'll learn a whole lot, and maybe I'll change some of the advice that I give after I take some instruction like that.
Very true. Yeah.
Yeah, you might.
So What about you, Mark?
Well, my first one is to just have more ammunition, more of a stockpile, and buy more magazines. That was the first thing on my list. It's just that, I feel decently prepared right now, but I could have a lot more and feel a lot more comfortable. And, it's kind of a bummer to have that feeling right now, but it's better than having none. It's not like I'm in a bad spot with it, but I feel like I could be in a much better spot,
Yeah, I think we could all probably be in a little bit better spot as far as that's concerned.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But also just having more magazines and just having more kind of the ancillary or accessory gear to be able to go shoot or to carry around if need be, depending on what you're doing. Just to be more prepared in that regard.
And I know we've talked about it before. Right now, magazines are still cheap.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean, I think the reason for that is that people don't have the ammo to fill them, but that might not be forever.
No. If I could buy a box of mags, I'd be doing it right now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we talked about, it was about a month ago, the Black Friday deals and stuff, or just any kind of holiday deals. And a lot of people had, boxes of a dozen or 10 PMags for $100 or $120 or whatever. So, and those things last forever.
Yep.
So, yeah, I don't know. That's that. And then for classes, I finally want to get into a medical class. Or a trauma class specifically. I had signed up, once, in the fall, and unfortunately I had some things that conflicted, so I wasn't able to get into it. But it's definitely on the top of my list for 2021, just because I've heard so many good things from you, Steve, and just other people in general. So
yeah, and I need to take another one of those too. It's been a little while. I probably need to brush up on my knowledge.
Sure, take a refresher. Yeah.
That should be another class that we take. I haven't taken one of those in 2 years, so I could use that.
Yeah, it's one of those depreciating skills, like we talked about with just shooting in general. But it's at least the knowledge will carry with you for a while, even if you don't remember the details. But, it's something that I've really wanted to make sure that I take, kind of part of being a responsible gun owner to a degree,
Well, what's funny is and I bet it's probably the same thing with you, Steve. Remember, well, you probably don't remember, it's been so long ago for you, but when the first several years that I carried a gun, I never thought twice, and I was an EMT for part of that too, and I never thought twice about carrying any type of tourniquet or medical gear with me.
Neither did I. I didn't even I didn't even think about it.
Yeah.
I never once considered patching up bullet holes in somebody that I potentially shot.
Yeah.
and now it's become you probably need to know that, and you probably need to have some medical gear with you. And on the flip side, if you're carrying a gun, we talked about this a couple weeks ago, there's potential you might get shot. So you might want to know how to stop that bleeding and carry something to do that with. So
how to take care of yourself.
Perfect sense. It makes perfect sense to know the information and to carry the gear. It's just something that for a long time we never thought about.
Yeah, well, I think people usually...
You're far more likely to get... Sorry, Mark.
I was just going to say, it goes along basically to what you were about to say, but it's people think about what they're going to do in a situation, not what's going to happen to them.
Yeah. Yep. Well, we all think that we're going to come out the conqueror and unscathed, but it doesn't work that way.
And on top of that, what if our significant other is the one that gets shot? Yeah, maybe we come out the hero and take down the bad guy, but maybe the person next to us at the bank or grocery store got hit. It means nothing if you took down the bad guy, but the person you were trying to save still dies because they're bleeding out on the ground.
Yeah. So it's a harsh reality, but it's true.
I mean, the ambulance is no faster than the police officers when you call 911.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's definitely something on my list that I want to get in. The other thing I want to do is take a low light class.
Tons of fun.
I know you've taken one, Steve. Nick, have you ever taken one?
I've taken a couple. I'm just not a huge fan of training with lights, but I'll do it because I need to know the information.
Sure. Yeah.
I think it's a blast.
I think it's fun. I did an outdoor one. I did one with the guys from Factor Triggers and Silver Line Films and Activity Group out at Parma. And it was a lot of fun, but I still can't. I'm not an officer or military, and I just don't see myself pursuing a fight in the dark.
Sure.
Yeah.
No, that's fair. That makes sense. I think I just having the the knowledge for it is or the experience of it is what I want, not necessarily to add to my repertoire, but
yeah, I think it's fun. I think it's a great, especially if you've done other types of training and you want to expand, it's great.
Yeah, exactly. I've taken an intermediate and advanced class in handgun shooting, and I'd consider myself relatively familiar with that, but adding a different kind of dynamic to it appeals to me. So
more fun than the handgun part was the rifle side of the class.
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
I think that'd be fun too. I haven't done anything with long guns, but I've done handgun stuff.
Yeah, that would be a blast.
Yeah, we did handgun and short range rifle stuff, and transitioning from pistol to rifle. It was a lot of fun, and I'm not a tactical person at all. I don't even think about being a tactical person.
Sure.
But it was a lot of fun to kind of put on all the gear and kind of transition from those things and kind of do what the law enforcement kind of does, military stuff. It was fun.
Yeah, I bet.
Give it that.
Yeah.
And I learned a lot. I mean, I learned a lot. If Steve does get that Civil War he talked about, I mean, I can transition from a handgun to a rifle.
Yeah, you've got the skill.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think a low light class or outside or inside would be equally as cool. So that's what's on my list for doing in 2021. Hopefully, we just taking classes and stuff are kind of back to normal again. That's my biggest hope.
I hope so.
And then my last one on that list is just I guess maybe ask more people about their shooting experience or about, their comfort level with guns. And if you find that they're not comfortable, then just offer to take them shooting. Just take as many people shooting as I can.
Which is always good.
Yeah.
I like those. And you know what? I think that we should do one of those deals at the school campus, and we'll just ask what people think of shooting.
Yeah, we've been talking about it since the start. We've just never done it.
We're too scared.
I'll do it.
I know Nick's not too scared.
No, I think it'd be awesome. I'm sure we need to get permission from the school.
Well, I don't want to bring guns.
No. I don't want to bring guns either, but taking them shoot would be awesome.
Yeah, we might have to work something out like that.
I'm all about. We'll put up one of those tables. We'll do the what was it? Ben Shapiro thing. Yeah.
Oh, the Steven Crowder. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could. It's maybe we can do that next year. Put Nick out on a table and just let him go.
Oh, the scary thing is I don't have the knowledge Steve has. I might need backup.
I don't have any knowledge either.
That's why you're still learning, but we're all still learning.
That's right.
So, do you guys got any more resolutions that you want to share?
No, I'm good. No, I'm ready to get going. I'm already started on 21. I'm not waiting for the next week. So,
might as well. Get a jump on it.
Not going to start itself. So, well, if you'd like to share your opinions or resolutions or predictions for 2021 with us, let us know. Podcast at iishooting.com or find us on Facebook and Instagram at Range Minded Podcast. And Nick, where can they find you?
I am at Hoftac.com and Hoftac Industries on Instagram.
There you go. So make sure you find Nick and us and share us your thoughts and opinions as well. But in the meantime, thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you next time.
Yep. You see you
guys next year.
All right. See you next year. Yeah. Take care.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening to Range Minded. Find us online at Range Minded Podcast on Facebook or send us an email at podcast@iishooting.com. We're always happy to get feedback, episode suggestions, whatever you want to send us, really. And be sure to subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, and pretty much wherever else you get your podcasts from. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.